Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm really happy to have been invited to share my experience from 7 years of transcultural schema therapy training and supervision in Arab-speaking countries. Is it allowed or is it okay to cry during the exercise? This was a real question of a workshop participant, and it seems to me so prototypic for my experiences that I gave this the title of my presentation. So now, to start, as usual, with a little imagery work. You don't have to close your eyes, but imagine you are going to meet a client for the first time who is from a cultural group that you know very little about. Also imagine that you have access to a one-page summary sheet, maybe ChatGPT or something, that discusses many of the important aspects of that culture. The sheet would list common practices, beliefs, social norms, taboos, what you should avoid in any case. Would you read the sheet before meeting the client? If yes, why? If no, why not? Think for a moment. I am Chris Fuchs from Switzerland. I am a schema therapy trainer supervisor since 2008. I'm leader of a Schema Therapy Institute since 2010. I founded the second Schema Therapy Institute in Switzerland. And I'm teaching and supervising schema therapy in Egypt since 2000, in Palestine, 2020, sorry, in Palestine since 2018, Tunisia, 2022, Jordan, and so on. I think meanwhile, there are several hundred participants in multiple basic trainings and advanced workshops and so on. Actually, the journey began in 2016 when I met Dr. Mona El Rahawi, an Egyptian institute leader in Granada. So she's leader of Rahawi Institute of Training and Research in Cairo. This is the institute. And we established a cooperation for me implementing schema therapy. This is the room where I live when I'm at the institute. It's the only room with a balcony. So, what am I going to speak about? Challenges for a Western trainer who is confronted with traditional Arab cultures. Second, how came CBT into the Arab world? Third, since 2010, there are winds of change, times of transition in several aspects. Fourth, I will present some data from a little transcultural training and supervision survey that we did at the Institute. And finally, I give you my personal conclusions and my personal recommendations. So, let me give you a little summary about, let's say, objective obstacles. We also have subjective obstacles, and later we'll come to them. But here we have, of course, the importance of religion. There is a completely different understanding of religion, something like let me say, violent protests against the Muhammad caricatures in 2007, I think, in Denmark, would not be possible here with, let's say, a film Life of Brian. Yeah, there is a completely different importance and holiness and untouchableness of religious values, and a complete identification. We later will see a bit more about it. Also, the relationship individuum-society, collectivistic, individualistic societies, you know that, role of family, of course, parenting styles. We will see a bit about different parenting styles in the Arab countries and gender and sexuality. LGBTQ plus communities nearly don't exist. Actually, they don't exist. They exist in the underground. Gender dysphoria, of course, exists. I don't know incidence rates, but I know from therapists that I supervise, for example, in Palestine, that they treat cases of gender dysphoria. Yeah. Sexual violence, incest, and rape is treated different from us. From us. Sorry, it's an international day, so us means Europe, Switzerland. The understanding of what is psychotherapy in general is not the same here and in the Arabic countries. The supervisor-supervisee relationship, much more hierarchic. What the supervisor says is right. I mean, not always. Very often. We will go a bit deeper into that. So here's some examples. This is actually, I admit it's an older article. But the authors are still publishing today. And in 1969, this article was published in Clinical Psychology Review, Western Psychotherapy in Traditional Arab Societies. And I quote from the article, because psychotherapy has largely been the product of Western culture, yeah, has largely been the product of Western culture, psychotherapy. Is it right? Is it not right? Okay, they write it. The Arab authors write it. It has tended to emphasize individualism, yeah, true, in that the self is usually defined as separate from a collective social identity. However, there has been no corresponding development of individualism in traditional Arab society, where collective identity is given precedence over the self. Yeah, this is it changing now, but this is the point of view decades ago, 2 decades ago, 1 decade ago. Different parenting styles. I was very interested when I read this article. You see, this is the same author. And he lines out that in 1989, they made a survey among Egyptian college students. 2/3 of the women and 1/3 of the male students favored absolute submission to parents. Absolute submission. This is, so to say, was given. Yeah. Parenting styles in Arab societies, they differ from Western. Of course, you know the 3 Baumrind categories, authoritative, authoritarian, and something liberal. So, yeah. Normally, control, high control, it's also in the PPSI and the parenting inventories of schema therapy. Control is a negative factor and is not positively correlated with unconditional love, for example. In Arab societies, according to this article, it is. So it is possible that a high control of daughters, of sons, goes together with a high parental warmth and a high experienced parental warmth. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, sexual violence in families, a tragic chapter. Again, the same author. Um, I just read what he writes. Unlike Western societies in which the state takes responsibility for the needs of its citizens and has laws that aim to protect victims of sexual abuse and to punish the perpetrator, bring him in prison, in court, in many collective societies, people live in more in interdependence with their family. The family, rather than the state, is the main protector. That means if a sexual abuse happens within a family, um, they would not sue the perpetrator. They would solve the problem within the family in different ways. One of my favorite topics are the subjective challenges due to your own glasses. Supervisors, trainers, own schemas. Yeah, that's clear. Cultural overcommitment. Identify uncritically with extreme positions. I will not refer here to the very recent history, but it happens, including blaming your own culture, binary thinking, good on the one, bad on the other one, good east, bad west, and so on. Of course, we tend toward the binary thinking. Humans tend toward the binary thinking, but as we all know, it's often not the truth. Hidden neo-postcolonialistic views and attitudes. I would not say that I myself am free from that. White, male, European, well, not old, of course, but that's me. Yeah. Maybe you have heard about the Orientalism versus Occidentalism debate. It's a debate that was, I think, in the 1890 in the cultural sciences. There was Edward Said teaching in the UK, and he published a harsh criticism on the Western construction of what is the Orient, romanticized, glorified, or belittled, or what do I know? Yeah. So, of course, like any discussion or discourse in cultural sciences, this was, was not uh, without what's the word without counterposition. Yeah, the counterposition came very quickly by Ibn Barak is his name, and of course others defending the West. Defending the West means yeah, there is an Orient, and this is one of the main topics you will be dealing with when you teach, train in Arabic societies as a European. I say now a European trainer. They confront you, the people, the participants confront you with preoccupations about the West. Yeah. The Frida Kahlo movie, that's the West. I said, no, the Frida Kahlo movie is not the West. By the way, it's Middle America. Yeah. So you, the West, we, the Orient, we, the Arab culture. It's very, very sometimes very confrontative. So now let's have a look at how came CBT into the Arab world. Here's an article with an example of Saudi Arabia. And it started in the 70s. Initially, Arab countries opened for CBT, not for psychodynamic, not for psychoanalysis, since CBT was much more, or is much more, in alignment with Islamic beliefs such as changing behavior is the prerequisite for any positive outcome. Not changing the attitude or understanding the attitude. No, changing behavior. Also suitable for cultural concepts like staying rational means you can avoid family topics or sensitive topics. Or maybe the most important, not be weak and emotional. Yeah. The idea of healthy adult is very different from the Swiss idea of healthy adult. Okay, after that, an increasing popularity resulted in kind of an open market where less trained locals offered a plethora of short trainings and workshops, mainly out of financial reasons. Attendees often attended to add a new certificate to their CV. So, because many certificates are a good thing, and there was low or no professional supervision, not of the trainers, not of the trainees. And so they developed, they raise and asking for Western trainers and supervisors to enhance quality. Okay. The winds of change. The tsunami-like development of social media and internet brought a globalization also of psychotherapeutic methods. English as an internet language. The Arab Revolution, it was 2011 in Egypt. Later, Corona and increasing online trainings. Without that, you would maybe not listen to me yet. Yeah. Then in International Online Schema Therapy Day. Without Corona, maybe, but maybe decades later or years later. Arab societies are in transition as well. The contradiction between the urban and the rural understanding of families and big cities and capitals like Beirut, Cairo, it's much different. Yeah, the roles of gender women are raising, protesting. Here you see the title of a contribution from Mona El-Rahawi from 2023, Women, Media and Mental Health. It's a very interesting article, or I don't know whether it's an article. I think it's a presentation. Okay, role of democracy, the role of human rights, but it's not that linear. Always, if globalization opens up, there is a counter movement. The fear of losing identity, the fear of losing our identity. We have that in Germany at the moment. But the fear of being colonialized, yeah, being occupied by others, that brings the rise of identitarian counter movements. What followed upon the Egyptian revolution was the Muslim Brotherhood, a very, very Salafistic and dogmatic government. Another wind of change comes from psychotherapy itself. This is the CBT third wave. It came 90s, after 2000. The emotion focus and emotion activating techniques. Experiential. No change without emotion. Mood over mind. Not mind over mood, like Aaron Beck. No. Mood over mind. Integrative psychotherapies, integrating body therapies, integrating expressive arts. And so we have a huge range of third wave therapies, emotion focused therapy, EFT, DBT, internal family systems, schema therapy, also systemic therapies, psychodrama. Psychodrama is not a third wave, but dance movement therapy. All of them are taught at Rahawi Institute, except DBT. So here came schema therapy, and schema therapy with its high role of emotional vulnerability, yeah, its high importance of limited reparenting, adopting the client, Jeffrey Young, Joan Farrell, filling the gap is the task of the therapist, filling the gap, what the client did not get, filling that gap. Self-disclosure, Wendy Beharry, yeah, I remember one of her very, very early presentations, how open can we be? Self-disclosure and the high value of the children's emotional needs. Actually, they are contradicting the good old CPT, staying rational. But together with all these transitions and changes, suddenly there is a longing for them, yeah. The workshop participants are enthusiastic normally about schema therapy. As far as I know, I also know the DBT trainers in Egypt. They are happy that they have instruments, yeah, but they are not that enthusiastic. Finally, children's needs, my own needs are met. Now, we made a little survey at the Rahawi Institute, and we used an established instrument, the Multicultural Supervision Scale, MSS, published by Wong and Wong in 2000. This is an instrument that evaluates the quality of the transcultural supervision given by the transcultural trainer. Yeah. There are 60 questions and 4 domains, and the supervisees fill it out anonymously. How transculturally competent is my supervisor who comes from a different culture? So we made this survey a bit smaller. We took not the 60. We took 6 from them, and we put 4 additional questions, sent it to around about 100 Egyptian and 15 or 20. The secretary did it. I did not do it myself because it was really completely anonymous. And the feedback was 1/3. It's not that much, but later maybe we will see why. So, and here you see the questions. The question 1, my trainer understands my culture and my value systems. So you see that the positive feedback, we have strongly disagree, undecided, agree, and strongly agree. So the overall agreement is 90%. That was very high, and that's a quality label for our training and supervision from Rahawi Institute. My trainer welcomes my input even when I express different views and values. Also a very, very high, I think 95 or 90, 97% of agreement here. Yeah, and this is so very important for transcultural supervision. Now there is an additional question. It's not very scientific, I figured it out, but I was interested in the result. It may have some advantages or benefits to learn schema therapy from my transcultural Western trainer or supervisor. And please explain in the comment. Okay, here's a bit mixed. Here's 25%, 1/4 who say, not sure. 3/4 say more or less yes. It may have some advantages. The comments. Sometimes see things from outside can make things more understood than inside. I quote the comments here as they are given. Exposure to diverse viewpoints helps to understand how different cultures approach problems, decision making, and leadership, and increases emotional intelligence. And schema is mainly a Western generated therapy model, so maybe it's better to learn from a Western trainer and practice with an Arabic supervisor. Very clever. In that case, we can get the skills from both sides. And I don't think it mattered to me the transcultural aspect. What mattered to me was my trainer himself as a person creating a very comfortable atmosphere. I see how my trainer, which he is from different culture than me, expresses his human nature in the context of the schema learning. In this way, give me the confidence about the model and about the learning process. The trainer in our culture sometimes thinks that expressing their human nature or their imperfection is a shame. Last, from the ones I quote, I don't think there is a specific advantage to take the training with a Western trainer, but Chris in particular is very knowledgeable and understands the Middle Eastern community and culture, so that's the important thing. There are some limitations to our survey. First, of course, questionnaires sent only to trainees and supervisees of one trainer. Second, and that's a heavy one, the questionnaire is sent in English, not in Arabic. While the training and the supervision happens always with a simultaneous Arabic translation. Of course, there are many participants who understand English, but there's a great deal who does not so well understand. And so maybe these are the ones who did not reply to the questionnaire, but I found that out later. Okay, now we come to challenges for the schema therapy training and supervision. What are the challenges? Yeah, the old thing, balancing the core model with cultural adaptations. I try to bring it in 2 sentences. No mercy for the inner critic. Maybe if he is a violent one, a very brutal perpetrator, but finding new ways of dealing with the parental precursor of the inner critic. For example, the spiral reparenting and regrowth that Alp developed, or any other ways to maybe to reparent the parent. Yeah. Another thing you often hear in our culture, it is common to beat children and to pull their hair. My reply to that is maybe. In mine, it was too 50 years ago. But now it is definitely time for a change. But this does violate and hurt the children's rights. What recommendations do I have to give? Reflect your own limitations. Yes, that's always very, very helpful. Accept that there are different value systems. Each is consistent in itself. This is philosophically, this is a very, very heavy to solve problem. That there is no general benchmark. French Revolution, tolerance, not for everyone. Yeah. Include family work. I mean, tolerance, I think, yes. But maybe there will be the opportunity to discuss this question in a symposium next year, Inspire conference. Okay, go on. Include family work much more than here. If the daughter, 25 years old, unmarried, violence by her father, and her, what do I know? She cannot move out. She cannot marry anyone to move out, include family work, much, much more. Most important is the credibility of the trainer as a role model. Yeah. Remember Jeffrey Young, the therapist is the role model for the healthy adult. And so we are the role model. We are the flexible role model, the culturally sensitive role model. Use your heart. Moments of meeting, this is a term by Daniel Stern, a psychoanalyst. And this is when both sides, client therapist, supervisor, supervisee, trainer, trainee, anywhere, where it's actually a hierarchic situation, when both sides meet in their core humanity. We both are human beings. These are moments of change, and these are moments that open the heart. Stern calls them, sorry, moment of truth. Yeah. This is a question that really popped up in the chat of one of my workshops. Is it okay to cry during the exercise? And yes, of course it is. The more, the better. Overall conclusion for now, schema therapy emerges in a period of globalization and idealization of emotions within the Arab world, coincides with a time of increasing dissolution of traditional social, hierarchical, age-related gender boundaries across Arab societies. Also reflects an era characterized by growing recognition of emotional values for children and the legitimacy of my own emotional needs. This ultimately makes it possible to highlight, to reconcile, and model the positive achievements of Arab family styles and their influence on child development in a way that integrates them into contemporary psychological paradigms, where one learns from the other. So, I'm at the end. This is Kulthum. Kulthum is in Egypt and in the Arab world what Maria Callas was in Europe. Everyone knows her. Her music still today, if you enter a cafe, they play Kulthum and say, do you listen Kulthum? Yeah. And she gave a very famous interview in Paris, 1967, that's recently again quoted on Insta, and I show you a few seconds to end my contribution with.
طب ايه اجمل مكان عجبك هنا كل ما تيجي باريس تحبي تفوتي عليه؟ مسلم. ليه؟ عشان بتاعتنا. طب ايه؟
I thank you very much for having been with me and hope to see you next year.